And welcome to another episode of the CBB Talk with Will Dickinson. I'm here another Wednesday. This is episode number 5. I can't believe we've already done this. This is the 5th time we're doing it. Keep having fun. Keep loving doing it. And we got another good episode today. Not a lot of action to talk about for the upcoming days or the couple days. So we're going to do a new segment at the end of the episode, I guess not the end, but like what's going to be like the main part of the episode will be sweet or beat and determine if your team is a team that could play in the second weekend in the Sweet 16 or your beat. You won't be banking it there. And then we're going to talk about some other things. But first, we're going to talk about a little bit a more serious topic, and it's Mike Leach. I know this is not college football, but it's college basketball, and him passing away. Just a icon of college football, a guy that never take himself so seriously, which you love to see. He always had great interviews, a great character, a great coach. Just was coaching this year at Mississippi State. He was at Washington State. It sucks to see a guy like that, a guy that, is a great figure for the sport, someone that players love to play for him. Just to, be gone at only 61 years old sucks. Prayers up to the family, to anyone surrounding him and the whole program, Mississippi State. Um, they're going to still play in their bowl game. Let's hope they win. I'll be pulling for you. And then another serious topic that, it's a little bit difficult to talk about, I guess, would be sorry. Ooh, that was nasty. There you go. Chris Beard, the Chris Beard situation. A super strange situation. A guy like Chris Beard, one of the better coaches in college basketball. I think that's an undeniable thing. Led Texas Tech to a national championship. Second year at Texas. It's just when I heard about that, I was like, Chris Beard. I mean, I've seen him get fired up on coaching, but a lot of coaches do that. It's just a terrible thing. Obviously, if this is true, he'll probably never coach college basketball again, or definitely won't coach at University of Texas again. I mean, let's be real, that's probably going to happen in the first place. He'll never coach at Texas again. He probably won't coach the next decade. Texas did play a game afterwards against Rice where they won an OT. Obviously that's going to have a big effect on the players. I mean, imagine waking up, it's game day, and you hear, oh, your coach has been charged with domestic violence. He won't be coaching. That's just something that I can't even imagine how they went through. So we'll see where that leads. Chris Beard, he's claiming that it wasn't him that started. It was the wife. It wasn't him being the aggressor. But there's a lot of evidence that he was an aggressor. He was doing strangulation, stuff like that, that you should never do to a woman. So, yeah, that's obviously a very interesting situation going on at Texas. They're a top 10 level team and they only one loss on the year. So we'll see how they can, react and see if hopefully they won't fall off because hopefully the players can rally together under their new coach. And then Arizona's IARP case came out today, and it wasn't really anything kind of what I expected. But the biggest thing was Sean Miller, Xavier's head coach, didn't get any type of suspension or anything really for being involved in the Arizona case. Of course, that was kind of the reason he got fired from Arizona, was because of all the misconduct he was having. But now at Xavier, he's not going to be getting any suspension. That's good for Xavier because you want one of the top tier coaches, there and present for every game, getting able to recruit. No real suspension done. Arizona really, got some assistant coaches fired, suspended, and then really just like a recruiting little month or two off. But nothing too major. That's kind of the same thing that occurred with Kansas, I believe, earlier this year, was that they didn't really get anything either. So I don't know how serious you can take these cases. Because Louisville had one. There's some more teams that have one. Arizona was the biggest one that just came up. Really nothing. So I don't know what it would take now to get a postseason ban. Like Oklahoma State got one last year. Arizona had one 2 years ago. I just don't. What would it take these days now with the NIL to get a postseason ban? Like, because now everyone's paying players. So I don't really know in what case you will get a postseason ban. That would be very interesting to find out where and when that would ever happen again. Because of course, I don't want a postseason ban for any teams. I want to see the best teams make the tournament. I want them to see them, at full case, always trying their hardest. Because if I was a player in that locker room that couldn't play in the postseason, that's a part of me wouldn't be as motivated because you're not really playing for anything. Like a team like Bellarmine last year won their conference tournament and couldn't make it to the NCAA tournament, and that's a completely different thing. That's just a terrible rule in the NCAA. But again, just those cases, I'm all for coaches getting suspended if they're doing bad things. But I'm glad the team didn't get hurt. The future players didn't get hurt for any postseason ban. But let's move on to actual games happening, actual teams this year. Let's talk about a team it's looking rough. We're not talking about those the winless teams. We're talking about Creighton, who's now dropped 5 in a row. Started off 6-0, looked super good in Maui, and then they just fell to Arizona State on Monday. Again, that was a game where, it was going to be close going in. I think Arizona State ends up pulling the game out by 73-71. And Creighton didn't have Ryan Kalkbrenner. They're big. Again, that's probably a big reason they don't win that game. But you drop 5 in a row. You're 6-5 now. If I say the tournament started today, Creighton would not be in it because 5 losses in a row. You start 6-0, lose 5 in a row. That is just really bad for Creighton. McDermott's team needs to turn it around. Kaluma's been good. Baylor Scheinman's been a little underwhelming. Ryan Nemhard's still trying to get back to full strength. Hopefully they can turn it around and become back to that top Big East competitor with UConn up there, Xavier, Villanova, because the Big East for Marquette. Creighton was supposed to be one of if not a contender, the best team in the Big East, and right now they're just not at that level. Arizona State's looking really good. They're 10-1. This team, man, keeps winning games. The Hurley brothers are coaching combined teams that have 1 loss. And this is a team that does it by committee. They don't really have that star guy. Again, Marcus Bagley was expected to be that guy, and he has only played 2 games this whole year, really just sitting out. I don't know if it was a team suspension, sitting out. Who knows what goes on in that family, because the Marvin Bagley things when he was on the Kings were wild. So, yeah, Arizona State, without doing one of their best players, they're 10-1. They got 2 more, San Diego and I believe San Francisco, and then they have a big game against their rival, Arizona, on New Year's Eve. That will be a very exciting game because hopefully those teams will have 1 loss or 2 losses combined, both have 1 loss, and that'll be a very big battle for the state of Arizona. And then before we get into the sweet or beat segment of this episode, we got to talk about a really, really good game that happened on Tuesday night between Alabama and Memphis. This game was just electric. Just one of my favorite games to watch so far this year. And we had Kendrick Davis show that he might honestly be the best offensive player in the country. This man was getting into his bag the whole game. All his buckets are tough, and he just makes them look easy. Dude, his mid-range pull-up. I can honestly compare him to almost like a college Kyrie Irving. That would be my comparison to him. This dude gets to his spot and knocks down tough step back mid ranges, gets to the basket and finishes so well. Had multiple and ones the whole game. He was really carrying that Memphis team. Even though Memphis didn't pull out the win, they looked really good. They're proving me they made their second best team in the American behind Houston. I love every time DeAndre Williams does anything, the commentators will be just saying, "Oh, he's 26 years old," which is wild. I don't think you should be 26-year-old playing against 18-year-olds. I just don't think that should be happening. But he is 26, and he had a huge dunk on Brandon Miller, who proved that this dude's a lottery pick, could be a top 5 pick. This dude is a great shooter. Every time he shoots the ball, I think it's going in. His form is very nice. Dude's lengthy. He's not afraid to take a risk. He got dunked on, comes back on the other and one. That's what I love from a guy who doesn't really get down if he makes a bad play or gets, embarrassed. He'll come back, and get it right back on the offensive end. He's long. He can shoot the well. He made so many free throws down the stretch to win the game. Alabama pulls out another win to prove to their fourth ranking. They had guys like Sears, who's on the court a lot. This dude is just such important. 9 free throws made from him. Clowney, the freshman, looked really good. Bradley, Coinerly still getting his stuff back, but made 2 big threes. Memphis is really old and Alabama is really young. This was a team fight between old and young. But Kendrick Davis, 30 points. Jeez, he didn't make a 3 and drop 30. This dude is so shifty, and I think Memphis could legit be a Sweet 16 team. They might be sweet. I don't know if they're a team that can get to out of the first round for sure, and they could definitely give a chance like last year making that second round. But this team's arguably better than last year's team, in my opinion. So I'm gonna take a quick break, get back to Sweet and Beat, because this segment's gonna be fire. So for a lot of these teams for the Sweet or Beat segment, I mean they're gonna be kind of obvious. So let's just get through them. Purdue, a sweet team. Come on, Zachy is right now the favorite for winning the award. The young guards, again, I could see this team not, I'm not saying they're a guaranteed lock, but you can't say they're not a sweet team. They're ranked number 1 in almost every poll. They look super good, but again, they have freshman guards, which is kind of scary going into a tournament. Virginia, obviously a sweet team. This team is very experienced. Kie Clark, Reese Beekman, Jane Garber, Arvin Fling, and Caden Shedrick, Ben Vanderplas. And then they got the younger players that come in there like Dunn or McKeely. Just guys that play the Virginia type of basketball. Great defense, good shooting, not gonna make mistakes. Obviously a sweet team. UConn, my opinion, best team in the country, a sweet team. Klingon, Sanogo, the 1-2 there. They don't play at the same time, but guess what? No matter when UConn's playing, no matter time, you're gonna have a problem guarding them down low, and that is something that's always winning in March. Alabama, I can say confidently that I think they're a sweet team after watching that game last night. Again, Brandon Miller, dude, is gonna be cement himself as a stud player. And then just the rest of the team, they're younger, which can be scary, but they play with a maturity that I love to see for such a young team. And I'm going to say this one was 100% confidence. Out of all those teams I listed, Houston might be most confident. They made the Elite Eight the last 2 years, and I don't have any reason to think they won't do it again. They're just getting there. Of course, they lost to Alabama at home. I still believe that Houston will make it to a Sweet 16 this year. Last year they struggled. I thought they were frauds last year. I picked them to be ups in the first round of UAB, and they made the Elite Eight. So this year I'm a Houston believer because last time I wasn't a Houston believer, it backfired. Tennessee is a team where they might be beat, in my opinion. I know they have a great resume. They only have 1 loss on the year to Colorado. They've beat Kansas. They've beat Maryland. They've beat good teams. But they just don't have that guy. And can Kai Ziegler be it? Can Vescovy be it? Maybe. It's just the offense right now is just so tough to watch. In my opinion, I'm going to say Tennessee is a beat. I know they're ranked 6th in the country. I know they've looked really good. I just don't know if I can truly believe they're a Sweet 16 because they've lost in the last couple tournaments to teams that are ranked as, I guess, a higher seed. Or I don't know, but they were supposed to beat them if it was by seeds. So I could see Tennessee getting upset again. Texas now is really tough to talk about because of Chris Beard. We don't know where they'll be at. So right now I'm going to say they're beat just because if I had to bet money right now on their situation, I'd put not making the Sweet 16. They haven't done in the last couple of years. So I'm gonna believe that they probably won't do it again. Kansas, I'm gonna say they're a sweet team. They have been. There's no reason for me to think the defending national champions can't get there. Arizona's sweet. I love their bigs. I talked about them a lot in the last episode, so I won't go too deep into them. I think they're sweet. Arkansas is a tough one because we've only seen the surface of Arkansas. We haven't seen them play a great team yet with Nick Smith, so that will be like the real showing again. They played Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's a fringe tournament team. So Arkansas is really tough to predict. They've made the Elite Eight the last 2 years. I'll say they're sweet. Baylor, sweet. Scott Drew's going to get that team there. Duke's tough. Again, I've been talking about Duke a lot on this because they haven't played like a marquee matchup since they played Iowa. So I guess I've talked about it a little, but since I started talking, and I think Duke will end up being a sweeter team, a Sweet 16 team, just because of the fact that they're going to get better. They're so young that I don't think there's anywhere but up from this team. Again, Lively's going to get better. Flipkowski's already great. Whitehead's going to get better. Mark Mitchell's going to get better. Tyrese Proctor's going to get better. They're so young. They're going to be good. Kentucky's a tough team to predict. Last year, you would have said sweet. You know what happened. It's hard to say all these teams are sweet because some of them will get eliminated. They're going to fall off. I'll say Kentucky's not a Sweet 16 team. Okay, I won't say it. It's kind of hard when Sheway's not that versatile as a player, and can they get a second guy to make that step? Indiana, another tough team to predict. They haven't had recent tournament success, so it's hard to say if there'll be a Sweet 16 team. I'm gonna go no. They're a team that probably wins the first round game. They'll be around 3 or 4 seed, but I could definitely see them losing second round. Gonzaga's going to be. That's what they are every year. They're going to be there. They're going to be in probably Elite Eight realm, Sweet 16 realm. Again, this team's only going to go up because of their schedule. UCLA. Well, UCLA is a big game against Maryland tonight. That game will either make or break one of these teams. Maryland trying not to go on a 3-game losing streak. UCLA trying to get a marquee win on their resume. So I love UCLA in the beginning of the year was my Final Four team. I felt that last year going in they were a little overhyped because of their big tournament run from first four to Final Four. That close to making the national championship game. So I'm gonna say their Sweet 16 team. I think Tyler Campbell, Jaime Jaquez, who else? Amari Bailey, the Devin Singleton, all these guys that have been there now. Besides Mario Bailey, they've been there. And Nick Cronin, he's going to get that team to where they need to be. Them and Arizona are best 2 teams in the Pac-12. Again, Arizona State could be there, but I need to see Arizona State play Arizona in a couple weeks to see. Mississippi State, I don't know much about Mississippi State. They're undefeated. They haven't had a marquee win. We'll see them in SEC play, but I would say not sweet. Illinois, not sweet. I don't like what Brad Underwood said about their team. Auburn, definitely not sweet. Maryland, we'll see how they look against UCLA. If they lose that game, my opinion might change on them a little bit because they now lost in a row. TCU, I think this is a dark horse team. Again, they came into the year with a lot of hype because they returned all their players after almost making the Sweet 16 last year, being 1 seed Arizona, almost being 1 seed Arizona. Mike Miles we're gonna see him in the Big 12. How they can stack up against a Texas, a Kansas, a Baylor. But I think they definitely could get there. Wisconsin, probably not. Oklahoma, Ohio State, probably not. Virginia Tech, I think, is a dark horse in the ACC. But if I had to say they're a Sweet 16 team, I'm not there quite yet on them. But Miami is a team that I am quite being on this year. Again, last episode I came on and said that they are the number 1 team, or not number 1 team, they're the number 1 most underrated team this year because I just love their pieces they got. Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, Miller. These guys, are proving good players in college basketball. Isaiah Wong last week averaged almost 30 points in over just 2 games against good opponents. I guess not great opponents because Miami did almost lose a game at home last week. It was like 100 points. Both teams scored. But Miami, beat NC State last week. I think this Miami team, last year they made the Elite Eight. I think they can do it again this year. So here's some other teams that I think that could be Sweet 16 caliber teams. I'm thinking West Virginia. Bob Huggins got his team back to relevancy. 8-2 on the year. Only losses to Purdue and at Xavier. They've beat UAB, a quality team, and they've also beat and they also not Xavier. They beat Florida. This team's leading scorer transfer from UMass. Not actually, that's Trey Mitchell. Eric Stevenson's their leading scorer guard. They have Drew Toussaint, Iowa transfer. This team built through the transfer portal, and that's kind of what you got to do if you want to be, come back from a bad year, a down year for West Virginia, a normal tournament team. I think this team is back to relevancy, a team that I could see making that run because Bob Huggins always gets his team ready for March, and I could definitely see West Virginia being a Sweet 16 team. Marquette's another one where I could definitely see them being a team in the Sweet 16. Shaka Smart, he has had the recent tournament success. He's got their team there before, and I could see Marquette doing it again. They already have big wins against Baylor, a big win against Baylor. Memphis, when I watched them last night, Kendrick Davis can lead a team to the Sweet 16. He can be a star guy. You saw it last night. You will see it in March. I definitely see this team becoming a dark horse Sweet 16 Elite 8 caliber team. I'm going through the ACC, and besides the Virginia, Duke, Miami, of course, you got to count North Carolina as a Sweet 16 caliber team. Almost a national championship last year, and they're getting there. Maybe they were overhyped going into the year. They're 35th in the net. It's just they're going to get there. They're going to get there. Be patient on North Carolina. I'm going to have them probably being, if I had to bet money on it right now, I would say they're in the Sweet 16. I think they're going to get better. Let's go through other conferences. The A10 this year is just bad, man. The Fordham's 11-1. Apparently, the highest team in the net is UMass. They're 8-2. They did lose to UMass Lowell though. So how serious can you take that team? Big East. I already said Marquette could. Xavier definitely could. Under Sean Miller. Villanova's probably they're a bubble team this year, honestly, under the first year coach. It's just they're not healthy. They finally got Cam Whitmore back. If they can get Justin Moore back if they can get back near the end of Big East play, then maybe they could get into that conversation of being a contender in the Big East and a team that could definitely compete for a Sweet 16. But right now, I can't say with confidence that they're going to be anywhere close to that Final Four. Again, Michigan is a team that you can never count out. Last year, it was kind of the same thing. They had double-digit losses. Came in as an 11 seed, beat Colorado State, then beat Tennessee, and got to a Sweet 16. So, and Jet Howard's only going to get better. Hunter Dickinson's always going to be good. Michigan's a definite team that will make people think. Another team I really like is Penn State. This year is a comeback year for Penn State. They were very good in the COVID year. They got canceled, and this year they're kind of back to that same level of team. Because the Big Ten's so deep. Here are some teams that I could logistically be a Sweet 16 team. Purdue, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, Maryland, Indiana, Penn State, Michigan State, Rutgers, Illinois. Besides Northwestern, Minnesota, Nebraska, and I don't think Iowa can be. I don't think they can. I don't think they're good enough. I think the rest of the teams could be Sweet 16, but realistically, probably 3 of them will, and I would probably say Purdue, Michigan, and dude, this is tough. Probably like maybe Penn State, Michigan State. We gotta see them get back to being healthy. They're on a nice 3-game win streak, though. I will say, Iowa State, they beat UNC. They've proven they can win close, tight games. Never count them out going into March, for sure. Let's talk about mid-major in Charleston. The CAA conference, always a one big lead, but Charleston this year is a little different. 55th in the net, 1 loss on the year, and that only loss is to North Carolina, where they were winning by 10.5. So this team could definitely make a little run if they win their conference tournament. Again, they got wins against Colorado State, Virginia Tech. They beat Virginia Tech's only loss this year is to Charleston, by the way, and that's the team that I said could make the tournament. Yeah, they beat Richmond, Davidson, Virginia Tech, Kent State, who's good. I did just looking at that resume alone, they are arguable top 25 team in the country, in my opinion. I'm trying to go through some other ones. Iona is a team that could definitely win a first round match, but they're definitely not a Sweet 16 caliber team. Nothing in the Mid American, nothing in the Missouri Valley. Mountain West, always a solid conference, but they're a little down this year. They do have 3 undefeated teams, so they might not be that down this year. New Mexico, UNLV, and Utah State. Don't know much about all those teams yet. We'll see when they get in the conference play which of those will kind of separate themselves. And then of course they have San Diego State, who's always a competitor in that conference. A team that coming this year was thought to be a Sweet 16 caliber team. Nothing in the Pac-12 this year, just a real down conference. Again, Arizona State and and UCLA are teams in that conference to look out for. SEC, nothing really besides those top teams I already talked about. And of course, we got the West Coast Conference, and Gonzaga's really it. But watch out for Santa Clara and St. Mary's in that conference, because both of those teams will give Gonzaga trouble, and Portland too. That played really well in the PK. Is that partially the reason because they were, in their home city? It may have been. It may have been. But also, it could just be because they're good. But that's really it. Again, sweet or beat. I kind of went away from that, but that's the title of this episode. So, I mean, hopefully that made you click. Because if you're watching it right now, you clicked on it. I don't know if that was because of the title, or was that because you just want to hear my awesome opinions. That's probably the reason, my awesome opinions. But if it was the title, let me know. Yeah, that's really it. Not really a lot of good matchups again. Maryland, UCLA, big matchup. We want one of those teams is gonna fall 3 losses on the year. I'm just gonna root for Maryland in this one. I'm gonna be honest. Because I don't want to lose 3 in a row. Also, I'm wearing this bucket hat because part of my hair. Oh, my hair is actually not bad, but bucket hat, Georgia. Let's go win back to back. Go win back to back natties. Dogs, go dogs. Maybe one day they'll be good at basketball. I highly doubt it. They had Anthony Edwards and they weren't good. At least I don't think so. That was also COVID year, but I do not think they were a tournament team the year Anthony Edwards was at Georgia. But yeah, that's really it. Nice little episode of the CBB Talk. You already know. Keep liking these videos. Keep watching them. Let me know if you have any suggestions, any comments. If you ask questions, I'll answer them. I'm a man of the people, if you would say. So yeah, thanks for watching. Episode 5 is a wrap, and peace